Hey, good morning. Um, Authors give readings of their work occasionally. So, guess what? I'm going to read you one of my chapters uh, this morning. This is chapter 20 for anyone who has selected the sample of my novel, which is the first one-fifth of the novel. This little incident isn't part of it. So I'll give you a little background. The speaker, this is written all in first person. My narrator is R.W. Clay, my protagonist, 6'3", 215-pound outfielder from the Dalles, Oregon, State Player of the Year, big, strong kid from a wheat ranching family. He knows the value of hard work and putting your nose to the grindstone. And he is facing a pitcher named Domingo Sanchez. Now, Sanchez's reputation precedes him. We were first introduced to Domingo by a fellow player from the Dominican who only labels him as a Muy Mal Hombre, very bad man. He's been known to aim pitches at opposing hitters' heads. In fact, in his first game of the season, he hit three players, all of them in the batting helmet. So, Muy Mal Hombre. You'll hear two other names that there aren't first names. One is Johnny D'Amato, who is the catcher on RW's team. The other name you'll hear is Marquez. He is a roving hitting instructor with the Colorado Rockies organization, and he has tried to iron out a very serious flaw in RW's swing. It's the thing that so many scouts said to pass on RW or just wait until real late in the draft. But the Rockies select RW in the 28th round. So, put on my reading glasses, and we will enter the first matchup between R.W. Clay and Muy Mal Hombre. Domingo Sanchez fit the description of a thug. He was a violent man with an intimidating demeanor. I stood at the corner of our dugout and watched him warm up in the opposing team's bullpen. The sides of his head were shaved. He had a small pigtail that trailed off from under his baseball cap. The pigtail was pencil thin and it whipped around on each pitch. His shoulders were broad, his thighs powerfully built. He was a man in an 18-year-old's body. I imagine that he had 100 tattoos under his uniform, all of them featuring skulls, knives, and implements of war. He threw pitches at more than 90 miles per hour, and the catcher's mitt popped on every pitch. He stared at our dugout between pitches. He had this menacing smile. I kept remembering the warning, very bad man, headhunter. Skip juggled our lineup. Skip is the manager. Sorry for the interjection. Skip juggled our manager because he was tired of our offense being inept. Cervantes was out as leadoff hitter. He was replaced by Johnny Baylor, the only black kid on the team and the fastest man on the roster. Skip moved second baseman Brad Martin into the number 2 slot, and he moved D'Amato to the third slot. Johnny wasn't a power hitter, but he was making better contact than anyone else on the team. He also wasn't going to be intimidated. He just might dish out as much potential violence as Sanchez. I stayed in the cleanup spot, which made me happy. Skip came up to me just before we were ready to run onto the field. He patted me on the backside, a common thing in sports, for no particular reason I can think of. And he told me to stay loose and not get nervous. He suggested I consider using a lighter bat so I could generate more bat speed. He said this was the first legitimate power pitcher I probably faced in my life, and any little advantage could help. I'm not nervous, Skip, I said. Heck, I'm having fun, and I'm not going to switch bats without some time to get used to the new lumber. I'll be okay. Just watch. Those were confident words for a guy trying to find any confidence to tap into. Skip just nodded and walked away. We took the field, stood for the national anthem, and settled in just to see what the Owls' offense could do. Kincaid, another name, Dennis Kincaid, roommate of RW, best pitcher on the staff. Kincaid was at the top of his game in the first inning. He struck out 2 and got the third guy on a pop-up to shortstop. Sanchez took the mound like a dealer who had the deck stacked against his opponents. He didn't walk, he swaggered. He didn't look at an opposing hitter, he glared. He stood on the mound waiting for Baylor to step into the batter's box, and he kept popping the ball into his mitt with repeated emphasis. Every move expressed a threat. Attitude and appearance went only so far. Baylor was a talented kid, and he lined a fastball into center field on the first pitch. Sanchez got back onto the mound like a man who had a bothersome fly buzzing around him. One hit wasn't going to shake him, but Martin took the third pitch of his at-bat and looped a single down the right field line. Martin was jammed on the pitch, but he barely got wood on it. 3 Owls defenders sprinted towards the ball, but none could get there in time. Baylor moved to third base, and he didn't need to slide. He smiled at Sanchez, who just popped the ball harder into his mitt. The pitcher turned his attention to Johnny D'Amato as he strolled to the plate. We all knew what was coming. Sanchez's first pitch to D'Amato was high and tight. It wasn't aimed at Johnny's head, but it was too close for comfort. D'Amato leaned back from the pitch. His cocky attitude took hold. He pointed at Sanchez and said something. I was close enough to hear it, but I'm not going to repeat the words. They weren't very nice, but that's just Johnny's way of doing things. Skip was up on the edge of the dugout by this time, yelling at the plate umpire about protecting his hitters. He yelled that Sanchez already had hit 3 batters, and the Pioneer leg had better take the safety of the hitters into the account. The umpire gave Skip a brief glance, then pointed to the mound. Next pitch, he was saying. Sanchez threw 3 consecutive fastballs, and Johnny never had a chance. Johnny tried to catch up to each pitch, and each time he was a full half-second behind. Out number 1. I changed my routine as I walked up to the plate. I spent other at-bats going over each individual part of the swing, lining up reminders about Marquez's preferred performance. This time I told myself to stay relaxed and stay in charge. I also kept myself ready to dodge a pitch that was up and in. I figured Sanchez might try and intimidate me the same way he tried to frighten D'Amato. This guy was tough, but he was predictable. He threw a fastball that was high but nowhere near my head. Ball 1. I expected he would throw another fastball on the inside part of the plate, close enough that I couldn't get a good swing and connect with it. He came with a fastball, all right. The problem was the location. It wasn't on the inside corner. It was down the heart of the plate and about belt high. Center cut fastball. Time for the big kid from the Dalles to be a hero. I took a swing that Marquez should have recorded and used in a training video. I kept my hands back and I dropped my hands perfectly. I had the sweet part of the bat in the hitting zone for a long time. I couldn't feel any vibration in my bat when it made contact. Man, what a beautiful feeling. Very bad man threw a good fastball and I hammered it, crushed it, obliterated it. I could have raced around the bases and never felt my feet touch the ground, but I couldn't enjoy the feeling. Sanchez wouldn't allow it. The hit was a line shot that sailed over the left field fence in about 3 seconds. It landed somewhere way behind the fence, I can't give you an accurate estimate of how far it went because I didn't keep my eye on the ball. I kept watching Sanchez. I checked his reaction as I was rounding first base. He walked off the mound and glared at me. I checked again as I was between second and third base. Same thing. I took a quick glance as I was heading for the plate. Same glare, but he added something. He formed an imaginary gun with his right hand, and he made a motion like he was shooting me. He then moved his hand down his pant leg like he was putting the pistol back into a holster. I knew then that my second out bat was going to be very interesting. End of chapter. So, slice of real life. That's me. That's the journalist in me. I've seen matchups close to this. Of course, I supersize my main characters, and you've met. Actually, you meet three of them, but you just kind of glance by Johnny D'Amato. But you meet R.W. Clay, confident kid, big kid. Worked in the wheat harvest since he was just a little guy, and drove full loads of wheat into town. Knew he was the best player in the state of Oregon, and he's matched up against Domingo Sanchez, kid from the Dominican. RW estimates that he's 18 years old, has a man's body, and has a very violent way of playing the game of baseball. So there is just a quick little glance. Once again, I've seen things like this. I have seen teams who face each other and they get into headhunting battles. Pitchers who throw and intentionally try and hit an opposing player. Why? Rarely at that level, it's because someone hits a home run off of you. What it is one of their pitchers hit one of your guys, and you've got to stand up for your teammates, so therefore you're going to hit one of their guys. And that is one of my running little battles in one summer season. Of course, I can't let one at bat be the entire thing between RW and Muy Mal Hombre. I have them face each other a few times. And each one is a very interesting confrontation. Well, it is a conversation in a way because it's athlete against athlete, and you speak with your actions, and you show, and you're able to chalk up the results of that in your statistics. So that's it for today. I'm going to go and write on another of my novels. I'm reaching kind of some critical points within that. I've a quick writing note. I found that writing those big sections, which I have kind of planned out to happen through there, it's the little transitions that lead into the confrontation. I want them to feel real. I want in this case a man who works at home. His wife takes off to her job in the town, and he is considering meeting someone who he should have every right to be very frightened of, but by God, he's going to do it anyway. So that's where I am in that novel. We'll talk more. I'll get back into some real baseball tomorrow. Hey, have a good day. You guys who are writers who are watching this, write the hell out of it, and have a good day. Enjoy a good book. One Summer Season on Smash Words. That's good recommendation. So goodbye. Bye-bye.